Hello everybody, this is Paul Neeson with Torah Life Ministries, and I'm reading the Torah portion for this coming Shabbat. We're up to the 40th reading in this year's cycle, and we're going to be reading Numbers 22:2 to 25:9. So we're going to be reading right now this Parashah 40, which is, again, Numbers 22:2 to 25:9. Starting off in chapter 22, verse 2, it says, "And Balak, the son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites. And Moab greatly feared because of the people, for it was many. And Moab was vexed by the presence of the sons of Israel. And Moab said to the elders of Midian, Now this assembly is licking up all around us, and the ox licks up the grass of the field. And Balak the son of Zippor was the king of Moab at that time. He sent messages to Balaam the son of Beor to Pethor, which is beside the river of the land of the sons of his people, to call for him, saying, Behold, a people has come out of Egypt. Behold, it has covered the eye of the earth, and it is sitting next to me." So basically, this fellow had stirred up the people, and they were already stirred up to know that these Israelites were coming, and they saw everything that happened to the Amorites, but they didn't realize that the things that happened to the Amorites did because they didn't let them pass through their land, and they weren't being obedient to our Creator, and that was the result. But as we see here, the very interesting story we're going to be seeing between Balak and Balaam, it's a very common and very popular story of Scripture, and it sets so many examples. It's very powerful. So we have Balak going to Balaam, and in verse 6 he says, "Now please come, curse this people for me, for it is stronger than I. Perhaps I will prevail, that we may strike them, that I may drive them out from the land. For I know that whoever you bless is blessed, and whoever you curse is cursed." Now this fellow Balaam is quite an interesting character that a lot of people don't know much about. Was he a prophet? And if he was a chosen one by a wonderful Creator, why did he do the things he do, which we'll see, which didn't really go along with the rest of the prophets in the Scriptures? But he was known about the land to have some type of gift of prophecy or something where he blessed somebody, they were blessed, cursed somebody, they were cursed. And he knew the connection between Yahweh and obedience and blessings, and so he knew this. But he was also so part of the worldly things and so much into the serving the money that he couldn't let go of the idea that maybe he could have, whether it's power or money or whatever it was he desired. But nevertheless, Moab knowed that they were in trouble. The Israelites were coming, and Balak wanted to do something, and he went to Balaam. And Balaam really had a choice to make. In verse 7, "The elders of Moab and the elders of Midian left with the rewards of the seer in their hand, and they came to Balaam and spoke the words of Balak to him. And he said to them, Stay here tonight, and I will bring back word to you, even as Yahweh may speak to me." And the leaders of Moab stayed with Balaam. And Elohim came to Balaam and said, "Who are these men with you?" So he knew who they were. He wanted to see what Balaam was going to say. And Balaam said to Elohim, "Balak the son of Zippor, king of Moab, has sent them to me, saying, Behold, the people has come out of Egypt, which covers the eye of the earth. Now come, curse them for me. Perhaps I will be able to overcome it and drive them out." And a wonderful Creator said to Balaam, "You shall not go with them. You shall not curse the people, for it is blessed." Now, right there should have been the end of any communication between Balaam and Balak. That should have been the end. I mean, Balaam didn't even deserve or have to give him an answer. But right there should have been the end, and if anything, he should have said, "I'm not coming with you," and that's the end. Leave me alone, and there's nothing else to be said. But we see here in verse 13, "And Balaam rose in the morning," so he had all night to think about what to say. He says, "He rose in the morning and said to the leaders of Balak, Go to your land, for Yahweh has refused to allow me to go with you." And the leaders of Moab rose up and came to Balak, and they said, "Balaam refused to come with us." So right there, nothing was done wrong. Balaam had all night to think about what to say, and he just told them straight out. He said, "Go back to your land. Our Creator has told me that I can't come with you," and he refused to go with them. So they told Balak what had happened, In verse 15 it says, and Balak sent yet again more leaders and more honorable than they. So this is the second group of people that are coming over. Verse 16, and they came to Balaam and said to him, so says Balak the son of Zippor, please do not be hindered from coming to me, for I will honor you with very much riches, and all that you say to me I will do, and please come and curse these people for me. Well, I personally know a lot of people like this when they just can't take no for an answer. And they try to deceive, they try to just get their way no matter what at all costs. They just can't take no for an answer, and this is how Balak was. Balak didn't look at any other avenue to get rid of the children except Balaam, and knew Balaam was the answer. Balaam refused, but he comes back again, offering him even more. And he just couldn't take no for an answer. And Balaam answered and said to the servants of Balak, if Balak would give to me his house full of gold and silver, I could not go beyond the mouth of Yahweh my Elohim to do anything small or great. That is a wonderful answer. That's a great. He's saying, look, your riches aren't the reason I stopped going. No matter what you offered me, I can't go against the word of our Creator, whether it's a small thing or a big thing. Wonderful, great answer. And at this point, Balaam is sounding like one of the true prophets of a wonderful Creator and a very obedient person as well. Verse 19, and now you shall also please stay here tonight, and I shall know what more Yahweh may speak to me. That is the problem right there. Verse 18 and 19 separates the spiritual from the man. Verse 18 and 19, you see the two opposite sides of Balaam. So first, Balaam was obedient. He didn't want to hear anything else about it. But then in verse 19, he was doing the same thing Balak. He didn't want to take what he heard for an answer. You know, originally our Creator said, don't go curse those people. That should have been the end of it. And verse 18 should have been the end of it. That's it. That could have been the final communication, or should have been the final communication between Balaam and Balak. But as we continue, in verse 20, and our Creator came to Balaam at night and said to him, if the men have come to call you, rise up, go with them, and say only the thing that I speak to you, it you shall do. So now our Creator is saying, look, Balaam, if you're going to go there, I'm going to make you be a mouthpiece for me, and you're going to tell Balak right to his face that I can't curse these children. It wasn't good enough for you that I told you to send the messengers to tell him that, but now I'm going to send you, and you're going to say what I told you. Verse 21, and Balaam arose up in the morning and saddled his donkey and went with the chiefs of Moab. So now, the chiefs of Moab must be thinking they're getting their way. He's coming, the money, everything bought him. But you cannot forget the covenant, the promise that was made, or the demand that was made by our Creator to Balaam and said, you can go, but you got to say exactly what I tell you. Verse 22, and the anger of Elohim glowed because he went. So our Creator was really, really upset that he went and even got this far. And the messenger of Yahweh sent himself in the road as a foe against him. So now Yahweh sends a messenger, and he was riding on his donkey. So Balaam's riding on his donkey, and two of his young men went with him. So you have Balaam and two of his young men. Then you have the donkey, and the messenger of Yahweh is standing there. And the donkey saw the messenger of Yahweh standing in the road. Now Balaam didn't see the messenger, but the donkey did. His sword was drawn in his hand. So now his sword was out. This is the messenger. And the donkey turned off the road and went into a field. Now, this is a donkey that was loyal to Balaam for all these years, as we're going to find out in a second. He didn't go towards that messenger. He went towards the field and turned back into the road. Well, it says here, the donkey turned out off the road and went to the field, and Balaam struck the donkey to turn back on the road. And the messenger of Yahweh stood in a narrow path of the vineyards, a wall being on this side and a wall on that. And the donkey saw the messenger of Yahweh, and she pushed herself to the wall and crushed the foot of Balaam against the wall. And again he struck her. And again the messenger of Yahweh passed on and stood in a narrow place where there was no way to turn, either to the right or to the left. And the donkey saw the messenger of Yahweh, and she lay down under Balaam. And the anger of Balaam glowed, and he struck the donkey with his staff. And Yahweh opened the mouth of the donkey, and she said to Balaam, what have I done to you that you have beaten me these 3 times? Now this is very interesting. First of all, Balaam didn't know, he didn't see the messenger there, but the donkey did. So Balaam was, that was the answer, because you didn't go. You crushed my foot, you pushed me against the wall, and you went off the road. That's why I struck you. But now the donkey opens up his eyes. Verse 29, and Balaam said to the donkey, because you have insulted me, if only there was a sword in my hand right now, I will kill you. And the donkey said to Balaam, am I not your donkey on which you have ridden all your life long to this day? Was I ever known to so do to you? And he said, no. And Yahweh opened the eyes of Balaam, and he saw the messenger of Yahweh standing in the road, and his sword drawn in his hand, and he bowed and fell to his face. So now we see again the humility of Balaam, and this side of him bowing to his face, because now he sees the messenger. And the messenger of Yahweh said to him, why have you struck your donkey these 3 times? Behold, I have come out as an enemy, because your way is contrary to me. And that is a great example of what our Creator does for all of us. If our way is contradictory to His way, it will create a problem. So our way has to go with His way. Verse 33, and the donkey saw me and turned aside before me these 3 times. And if she had not turned aside, surely now I would have killed you and saved her alive. And Balaam said to the messenger of Yahweh, I have sinned, for I did not know that you stood against me in the way. Now if evil is in your eyes, I will turn back by myself. And the messenger of Yahweh said to Balaam, go with the men, but only the word that I speak to you, you shall speak. And Balaam went with the leaders of Balak. So now this is the second time our Creator is making it clear. Only speak what I'm telling you to speak, nothing else. And verse 36, and Balak heard that Balaam had come and had gone out to meet him to a city of Moab, which is on the border of Arnon, which is the outermost border. And then Balak said to Balaam, sending, did I not send to you to call for you? Why did you not come to me? Am I not truly able to honor you? So now Balak saying to Balaam and rebuking him, what took you so long to come? Why didn't you come to me the first time? Did I not offer you so many treasures? And Balaam said to Balak, behold, I have come to you. Now I am able to speak anything at all. The word which Elohim puts in my mouth, that I will speak. So he's warning him, now that I'm here, I still can't speak the words that you might want to hear. I can only speak the words that our Creator puts into my mouth. And Balaam went with Balak, and they came to Kirjath Huzzit. And Balak sacrificed oxen and sheep, and sent to Balaam and to the leaders who were with him. And it happened in the morning, and Balak took Balaam and caused him to go up to the high places of Baal. And from there he saw the edge of the people. So now we're going to go to verse chapter 23 here, and we're going to continue this story. And it's a story that will be continued later on in the scriptures, and we're going to learn more about exactly what happened and why it happened. But Balaam is a very funny character here. He's going both ways, trying to please everyone, trying to please our Creator, but also trying to please Balak, but even more important, try to please himself and get these riches. And this is just like men today. They try to be sneaky about these things and try to seem like they're pleasing everyone. It sounds almost like a politician today. But you know what? You can't hide from our Creator. He doesn't see basically only our physical. He sees our heart. And He knows what we're thinking and what we're about to do. It says in chapter 23, and Balaam said to Balak, build 7 altars for me here, and prepare 7 bulls and 7 rams for me here. Now, Balaam said this to Balak, and this certainly isn't what our Creator told Balaam to do. In nowhere did our Creator instruct Balaam to have these sacrifices made. So right then and there, Balak is disobeying our wonderful Creator when he said, only say what I told you to say. Verse 2, and Balak did as Balaam had spoken, and Balak and Balaam offered a bull and a ram on the altar. So now you have this man Balaam going with this Balak and offering sacrifices on an altar other than the altar of our Creator. And Balaam said to Balak, station yourself by the burnt offering, and I will go on. It may be that Yahweh will come to meet me, and I will declare to you the things which He has revealed to me. And he went to a high place. And our Creator came to Balaam, and he said to him, I have set up 7 altars, and I have offered a bull and a ram on the altar. And Yahweh put a word in Balaam's mouth and said, return to Balak, and you shall say this. And he returned to him, and lo, he was standing by the burnt offering, he and all the leaders of Moab. And he took up his parable, or what he had to say, and he said, He has led me from Aram, Balak king of Moab, from the mountains of the east, saying, Come curse Jacob for me, and come rage at Israel. How shall I curse him whom El has not cursed? And how shall I rage at him who Yahweh has not raged? For from the top of the rocks I see him, and behold, him from the heights. Behold, it is a people that shall dwell alone, and not be reckoned among the nations. Who can count Jacob's dust, and the numbers of the fourth part of Israel? Let me die in the death of the righteous, and let my last end be like his. And Balak said to Balaam, What have you done to me? I took you to curse my enemies, and lo, you have surely blessed. And he replied and said, Must not I take heed to speak with Yahweh has put in what he's put in my mouth? And Balak didn't want to hear what Yahweh had to say. He wanted these people to be cursed, and he wanted Balaam to do it. And Balaam was going back and forth here. In verse 13 of chapter 23, and Balak said to him, Now come with me to another place, where you will see, only you will see the edge, and shall not see all of it, and curse it for me there. And he took him to the field of Zernum, in the top of the Pisgah, and built 7 altars, and offered a bull and a ram on the altar. Now, we see here Balak taking Balaam all over, and at the end of these high places, and offering all these things to Balaam. I'm not comparing it in any way to Yeshua being tempted by the enemy, by Satan, when Yeshua was doing his ministry, but certainly our similarities of this right here, and we see how Yeshua responded to Satan, but here we see Balaam not responding to Balak that way, and just trying to see what else this man would offer, almost trying to get more out of him. It says here, And he took to him in the field of Zerem at the top of Pisgah, and built 7 altars, and offered a bull and a ram on the altar. Verse 15. And he said to Balak, Station yourself by the burnt offering, while I go to meet him over there. And Yahweh met Balaam, and put a word in his mouth, and said, Return to Balak, and say this. And he came to him, and lo, he stood by the burnt offering, and Moab's chiefs with him. And he said to him, With what Yahweh has spoken. And he took up his parable, and he said, Rise up, Balak, and hear, give ear to me, son of Zippor. Now our Creator is calling out Balak by his name, by his heritage, and exactly saying who he is. Rise up and listen. El is not a man that he should lie, or a son of a man that he should repent. Has he said, and he shall not do it? And has he spoken, and shall he not make it good? Behold, I have received word to bless. Yes, he has blessed, I cannot reverse. So he blessed them, he didn't reverse them. And this is getting kind of hot here, what's going to happen. Verse 21, he has seen no iniquity in Jacob, nor has he seen mischief in Israel. Yahweh his Elohim is with him, and the shout of the king is in him. El, who brought them out of Egypt, is for him like the lofty horns of the wild ox. For there is not a spell against Jacob, nor any fortune teller against Israel. Now it is said of Jacob and Israel, See what El has done. Behold, these people shall rise like a lioness, and like a lion he shall lift himself up. He shall not lie down until he eats the prey and drinks the blood of the slain. And now Balak is getting nervous, and he says here in verse 25, he said to Balaam, Do not curse it at all, nor bless it at all. And Balaam answered and said to Balak, Did I not speak to you, saying, All that Yahweh speaks that I will do? And Balak said to Balaam, Come, please, I will take you to another place. It may be that it will be right in the eyes of Elohim to curse it for me from there. And Balak took Balaam to the top of Peor, which looks towards the wilderness. And Balaam said to Balak, Build 7 altars for me here, and prepare 7 bulls and 7 rams for me here. And Balak did as Balaam said, and he offered a bull and a ram on the altar. Now, these two are like 2 peas in a pod here. They just the same. They can't take no for an answer. Balak can't take no from Balaam, and Balaam can't take the answer from Yahweh. No, do not curse these people. In fact, bless them. And this is human. This is our heart. When we want something and we're determined to get it, we'll do anything we can. and many times it goes against what our Creator wanted. We go to chapter 24 here. And Balaam saw that it pleased Yahweh to bless Israel, and he did not go, as at other times, to seek spells, and he set his face towards the wilderness. Finally, he's getting it. Finally. And Balaam lifted up his eyes and saw Israel camping by its tribes, and the spirit of Elohim was on him. And he took up his parable and said, the saying of Balaam the son of Beor, and the saying of the men whose eyes have been opened, the saying of him who hears the words of Elohim, who sees the vision of the Almighty fallen down, yet with open eyes. How good are your tents, O Jacob, your dwellings, O Israel. And they are spread out like valleys, like gardens by a river, and Yahweh has planted aloes and cedars besides the water. He makes water flow from his buckets, and his seed shall be in many waters. His king shall be higher than Agag, and the kingdom exalted. Elohim has brought him out of Egypt, is for him like the lofty horns of the wild ox. He shall eat up the nations that are his foes, and shall break their bones in pieces, and shall pierce them through his arrows. He has crouched, he has lain down like a lion, and like a lioness, who shall rouse him up? Blessed is everyone that blesses you, and cursed is everyone that curses you. That's it, folks, right there. Blessed is everyone that blesses the believers, and cursed is everyone that curses the believers. Who are the believers? The believers are the ones that are not just proclaiming some words with their mouth, but their actions are being followed, and they're actually doing something about it. In verse 10, and Balak's anger glowed against Balaam, and he struck his hands together, and Balak said to Balaam, I called you to curse my enemies, and behold, you have altogether blessed them these 3 times. And now flee to your place. I said to honor you with great riches, but behold, Yahweh has kept you back from honor. And Balaam said to Balak, did I not speak to your messengers that you sent to me, saying, if Balak would give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the mouth of Yahweh to do good or bad in my own heart? What Yahweh speaks, that I will speak. So Balak again is going back to the side of Yahweh here, and sounding like a righteous man once again. And now behold, I go to my people. Come, and I will counsel you what these people shall do to your people in the later days. And he took up his parable and said, the saying of Balaam the son of Beor, and the saying of the men whose eyes are opened, the saying of him who hears the words of El, and he knowing that the knowledge of the Most High, who sees the vision of the Almighty, falling down yet with open eyes. I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not near. A star leads forth out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall dash the corners of Moab, and shall break down all the sons of Tumult. Verse 18, and Edom shall be a possession, and Seir shall be a possession for his foes, but Israel shall do mighty. And out of Jacob shall rule, and will destroy the survivors forever. And he looked up upon Amalek, and took up his parable, and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, but a latter end to his destruction forever. And he took upon the Canaanites, and he took upon this parable, and said, your dwelling place may be enduring, and your nest may be set in a rock, but the Canaanites shall be consumed until Assyria shall carry you away. And he took up his parable, and said, alas, who shall live when El has done this? And ships shall come from the coast of Cyprus, and they shall humble Assyria, and they shall humble Ebar, and he also shall come to the destruction forever. And Balaam rose up and left, and returned to his place, and Balak also went on his way. Now this would seem like this was the end between these two people speaking and so on, but we're going to get into verse 25. There's 10 more verses in this Torah portion of portion 40, and we're going to see later on what really Balaam did trying to outsmart our wonderful Creator. But we have to understand, folks, our Creator is smarter than we are. Chapter 25. And Israel lived in Shittim, and the people began to fornicate with the daughters of Moab. So now the daughters of Moab are coming to mix and mingle and fornicate with the children of Israel. Now, how and why did that happen? Where did the daughters of Moab get the idea to fornicate with the children of Israel? And what would those consequences be? Well, as we'll see coming up in the future, that was Balaam's devised plan to get the children to weaken the children and get them to turn against Yahweh was having them mingle with the women of Moab. Verse 2, and they called the people to the sacrifice of their Elohims, and the people ate and bowed themselves to their Elohims. And Israel was joined with Baal Peor, and the anger of Yahweh burned against Israel. So we see the plan of Balaam seeming to work quite well here, the destruction of Israel and their weakness, their fornication, their bowing to other gods, they're making sacrifice to other gods. Verse 4, and Yahweh said to Moses, take all the leaders of the people and hang them up to Yahweh before the sun, that the fierce anger of Yahweh may be turned away from Israel. And Moses said to the judges of Israel, each one of you kill his men, those who join with Baal Peor. So now that was the only way to end this, was going to kill that root and destroy that root immediately. And behold, a man of the sons of Israel came and brought in to his brothers a woman of Midian, before the eyes of Moses and before the eyes of all the congregation of the sons of Israel, groaning at the door of the tent of meeting. And Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, saw, and he rose amidst the congregation, and he took a javelin in his hand. So now we see this man amongst the people taking one of these Moab women into the tent before all of the people, trying to make a statement that we don't care what Moses says, we don't care what Yahweh says, or we don't care what Torah says. We are going to go fornicate with these other women, that we have the power and we could do whatever we want. So this Phinehas man came and took this sword, and he says here, he went in after the man of Israel into the tent room, and he pierced both of them through, the man of Israel and the woman, through her belly. So the plague was stayed from the sons of Israel. And those that died in the plague were 24,000. So you had 24,000 people, of the men and the women, that were fornicating, and half of them were men of Yahweh, or so to say, they were the Israelites, but they weren't men of Yahweh's heart, fornicating with these people. And those that died in the plague were 24,000. Here is another example how in the slavery of Egypt the children grew from Jacob's small family all the way to up to 2 million people. And here the numbers keep shrinking because of the disobedience and because living against Yahweh's Torah. And, it was a man like Phinehas who had to come and destroy this evil root. But before he destroyed it, there were 24,000 people. Now all 24,000 of them that died in this plague, some of them were the women that were being fornicated with. But we have to remember this as well, that I've said it in previous Torah portions, I'll say it again. There are three main consequences of disobeying our Creator in the Scriptures. One of them was being cut off from the community. Another of them was a plague being struck to the community. And then finally a third one was death. And here we saw the plague, and here we saw the death. And we're going to read and continue in the next Torah portion next week. It's Torah portion 41, and it's going to be Numbers 25:10 to 31. Numbers 25:10 to 31. All right, everybody, if you have any comments or questions, post them below the video. Thanks for checking us out. Check out the other videos here on TorahLife.tv for Torah Life Ministries. This is Paul Neeson, your health watchman, saying have a great Shabbat next week, and shalom, shalom.